Here at Transworld Sport, we clock up thousands of miles in search of stories from the wide world of sport. Our recent travels took us to the small Baltic country of Estonia. We headed for the small farming town of Vinni in the north of the country, around 100 kilometres from the capital, Tallinn. The town of Vinni is a hotbed of wrestling, but it's not Greco-Roman or freestyle that's king here, rather the sport of sumo wrestling. The Baruto Dojo at the local leisure centre is named after Baruto Kaito, Estonia's pioneering professional sumo wrestler, who's been competing in Japan since 2004. Andres Jadla is the president of the Estonian Sumo Association.
There's no doubt that the success of Baruto Kaito in Japan has helped to boost the popularity of sumo wrestling throughout Estonia. Baruto has reached the rank of Azeki, which is great. Sumo is now quite popular here, but as it's not an Olympic sport, there aren't any dedicated sumo clubs in the country. Instead, coaches train both adults and children in the sport at general sports halls like this one, alongside judo and regular wrestling.
Based here in Vinni, Riho Rannikmaa is Estonia's leading sumo coach and the man behind Baruto's rise in the sport. Riho actually started out as a judo coach and was renowned for his development of promising young athletes. In 1994, he was introduced to sumo and quickly incorporated the sport into his students' training regimes. Over the years, the coach has been a tireless promoter of sumo in Estonia and has overseen the sport's growth here.
There are a lot of talented youngsters, not only here in Vinni, but across the whole Lääne-Viru region. Sumo wrestling has really taken off here. It's a sport that seems to suit Estonians for some reason. It's hard to identify exactly who will make a great sumo wrestler. It's not just about a person's physique. You also have to be mentally tough. Baruto Kaito had all the right qualities. I'm always on the lookout for someone with the same determination that he had. There have been a few guys since him who've had the right build and who I thought would make it. But in the end, they just didn't have the resilience.
In search of a young sumo wrestler being tipped as the next Baruto, we drove 45 kilometres from Vinni deep into the woods of Unorme. It was here that we met a 14-year-old by the name of Oliver Valdre.
I don't really know much about the sumo wrestling scene in Japan yet, but it's my dream to go and compete there one day, like Baruto. After my sumo career, I'd like to become a farmer. Farming has been in my family for generations.
Oliver lives with his parents and older sister on the family farm. He took up sumo at the age of 6, inspired by the exploits of Baruto Kaito, who also grew up on a farm.
Me and the other wrestlers met Baruto in Vinni, and we asked him a lot of questions. I look up to him a lot. In the future, I want to be as good as him. I wouldn't want to settle for anything less.
Earlier this year, Oliver triumphed at the European Continental Youth Sumo Championships in the under-16 and over 95-kilogram division. There's no doubt that the help he's given his father on the farm from a young age has helped Oliver develop into a very strong boy.
Oliver has been doing sumo wrestling now for 8 years. He does other sports too, like judo and the shot put, and freestyle wrestling is another thing that he enjoys. We think that in order to reach a high level in sumo, you have to be good at other sports too. You can't do just sumo all the time. Even boxing is something that is good training for sumo. Whether Oliver ends up going to Japan is down to him. But he first has to finish his schooling, and there's 4 more years left of that.
Oliver trains 3 times a week in Avinorme, not too far from the family farm. The training sessions are intense and can be punishing on his young body. The teenager is coached by Riho Mai.
I mainly use freestyle wrestling techniques in my training because Greco-Roman wrestling only involves the upper body. Freestyle is like sumo in that both the upper body and the legs are used. Training in the classical style of wrestling is not much use.
For Oliver, there will be a long, hard road ahead if he's to make it to Japan and emulate his hero Baruto. The life of a young professional sumo wrestler can be tough, and adapting to a completely different culture will present its own particular challenges.
At this stage, it's too early to say if Oliver has got what it takes to go as far as Baruto. He's very good for his age, but only time will tell whether he has that inner strength that's so vital to succeed in sumo. Can he be as good as Baruto Kaito? It's too hard to say.
Oliver's progress in the sport will be closely monitored by Riho Rannikmaa, who regularly invites the youngster to train with him in Vini, alongside a number of his other aspiring rikishi. However, rather than focusing on one individual, Riho's main objective over the coming years is to continue increasing the number of people who are taking up sumo across Estonia.
It's not my goal to find another Baruto. Of course, I'm always on the lookout, and if I saw someone who reached the right level, I would certainly recommend him to Japan. But like I said, this is not the main goal. I just like working with the youngsters, and my motivation is being appreciated and seeing the pleasure that this sport can bring them.